मतलब वो जो रेंज है ना बॉम्बे में is just mind blowing, and probably that is why so many of these artists and filmmakers and cinematographers, writers, etc. are attracted to that city, because ये जो range दिखता है ना life का, it's so inclusive and it's inspiring in a way. And I don't want to romanticize poverty as such, but it's something that you will see at every step.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to our podcast of Quacks and Quirks, where we sit down to have simple yet interesting conversations with people. Joining us for this episode is our friend Manasi Nanavati. So let's dive right into the conversation where we explore our experiences of life, traveling, and arts in our society.
Hello, Mansi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Srishti. Thank you for inviting.
And Inash, will you please tell us how we know Mansi and how exactly were we able to invite her on our show?
Yeah, Shashti. First of all, hi Mansi Didi. I'll call you Didi throughout the show because you're very elder to me. Anyways, so the way we came to know about Mansi is through my school friend Kavit. She is Kavit's elder sister, and that's how we know each other. And
Yes.
from a long time, like Kavit has always been talking about his sister in very high regards. And I've always wanted to meet her and always wanted to talk to her. And this is officially the first time that we're getting together for any sort of conversation. And
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
me too. Actually, I have heard a lot about you too.
So, Didi, since Kavit is my school friend, okay, and I know you've traveled a lot. You've had a very बहुत ही elaborate life रहा है आपका. I wanted to start from the basics. Like, what are your best memories of school days?
Yeah, मेरा school was actually so much fun. It wasn't necessarily great in terms of education I got, but it was simpler times, and I was in auxilium convent. I studied in Gujarati medium, okay, so it wasn't even
अच्छा.
हाँ ऐसा कुछ एकदम extremely fancy लोग भी नहीं थे मेरे क्लास में. So I was, because of that, and I was part of the first batch जब से Gujarati medium in a convent school started. So of course we were like taught by sisters and Catholic teachers, so English was not entirely foreign to us, but the medium was Gujarati for me. But my school, like, I think fondest memories I have is how much autonomy we had. So how you are, some year you will be head girl, or kabhi monitor ho, kabhi prefect ho. So I used to be one of those every year. और मैं बहुत एक्सरसाइज करती थी मेरे राइट्स एंड ड्यूटीज, in a good way, of course, mostly cultural part of schooling. So we used to have some plays and all. Our teachers were not, they were always like excited to do things, but they didn't always have the greatest ideas. So we always collaborated. So जब ऐसे हमें छूट देते थे ना कि okay, bring some script, for example, तो वो तो मेरा बेस्ट टाइम होता था कि okay, great, then let's do this or let's do that. So घर में, because I grew up reading a lot, we always had something to pitch. So all those things I participated in pretty much everything. I think there was a year when my principal said I cannot participate in anything for this year. I was banned. That didn't really work, but I think it was really so much fun, and people were nice, simple, you can talk to. There was no such thing as peer pressure at all. At least I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So it was, I had great time.
So anyways, Mansi, talking about our talking about when we were kids, and when we used to play like we didn't have to think about anything, and we talked about simpler times.
Hmm.
So, do you think can life be ever as simple as when we were kids?
Uh, when we say that those were simpler times, we say that in retrospect. I
Hmm.
don't think when we were going through that time we felt like
Huh.
what an easy life.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think there was a moment we felt wow abhi to kya hi kuch nahi hai. It's always in retrospect we feel कि अरे वो homework का क्यों ही tension ले रहे थे. There are bigger things to worry about. So I think
Exactly.
that way, yes, it was like really simple, but we can't really say it like that because at every point in present time, how you feel. So the pain I may feel for something,
Hmm.
a kid will feel the immensity of that pain may be the same. It's just the matter is trivial to us now because we
Yeah.
have get past that whole thing. So maybe relatively there may not be simpler time, but
Mm-hmm.
उस वक्त because we don't live in past or future, so उस
Yeah,
वक्त के
yeah.
हिसाब से I think it's more or less थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे होता है, but it's same.
Yes, yes. And also, do you think school people are actually very, very nostalgic about their school days? Like they think about it and they feel good about it. कि वो भी एक
Yeah.
time था when things were like this and you didn't have to worry about ऐसा वैसा. So,
Yeah.
do you think school days are the best life of a person's life? Like the best
uh,
period of a person's life?
It could be. I mean, I don't know if it's true objectively. I mean, for me, definitely it was fun. I have great memories of it, but it doesn't mean I don't have some really nice memories after the school time as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this: the friendships that were developed during the school times, and
Yeah.
they stayed with me all throughout. Even today, I think they are the strongest bonds that I have, the school friends. And
Yes.
so, because of that, all the consequent things that happened that I so like fondly cherish and feel nostalgic about, even those things that happened after school time. But it basically schooling, it was the school life that gave that to me ultimately. So like I do feel nostalgic, but I am not really that stuck. I don't, if somebody say would you want to go back in that time, then I probably will not. I mean, I'm very happy with that time. I have no complaints, but it doesn't mean like oh ho chalo वापस वहीं चले जाते. और इतना ज्यादा romantic शायद I am not. Maybe because I have like other times also I found those nice corners of memories जो भी अच्छे ही हैं. So it's I don't know if it makes sense or not, but yeah, I feel like that. It's sometimes you get nostalgic and it's fine. I think it's
Yes,
sweet. Mm.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And you
And
know
So
how stupid we were in some weird age. Like कितने हम लोग, even if we look at our photos and clothes that we wore, like क्यों ऐसे किया हमने हमारे साथ क्यों? So all those things are always like priceless. So to revisit those, it's always amazing, especially with a friend who went through all those things with you. So
yeah.
वो तो बहुत ही, it's gold we have. Yeah.
हाँ तो दीदी,
Hmm.
for the next part of your life, ठीक है, another identity that you own up to, and I think anyone listening to you right now would have decoded it that you are a Gujarati.
Yaar, damn it. So
It's,
many places I've hidden that fact. Like nobody could have like really told that.
अरे but दीदी, I want to share a small experience, ठीक है.
Hmm.
तो
Hmm.
I come from a South Indian family, ठीक है. I'm from,
Yeah.
my parents are from Kerala, but I was born and brought up in Gujarat.
Okay.
So uh, my entire school life तक मैं घर पे था, तो तब तक the food that I used to eat was South Indian food जो मम्मी बनाती है. And then I went out for college and I went to Anand, and वहाँ पे बाहर से खाना खाना पड़ा. For the first time, ठीक है, I had a Gujarati dish. And you
Oh.
have to answer me this question now. Ki, why do Gujaratis add sugar in dal?
So that's a good question. It's for the same reason why Keralites add coconut in their all the dishes. But
Okay, let me object right here. Okay, coconut adds flavor. It doesn't stand out. Like if a person eats a South Indian dish, it should not. It doesn't stand out. Like odd nahi lagta, weird nahi lagta. But adding sugar to dal is
but that's subjective, huh? If you find it odd or if you think it stands out, it's because it's new to you. I'll tell you the actual reason. Um, First of all, it's not sugar; it's actually jaggery.
Oh, damn.
I yeah, it's
Technical question.
no, no, because we are like, oh, sugar se dur raho, but jaggery is good. So, jaggery is what we add in dal. But I know people outside Gujarat also have asked me this, and I don't find. I mean, for obvious reasons, I don't find it too sweet, and probably मेरे घर पे इतना ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं add करते होंगे. It's just to like develop like a little bit of taste. But the real reason is Gujarat being a coastal state, it has very salty water. So to compensate for that saltiness, it was a cultural thing or tradition that you add a little bit of jaggery so that you don't feel like something is too salty. That's how it started culturally. But then obviously how every region adopts, जो भी culinary उनका peculiarities होता रहता है वो because of their geographical जैसे जहाँ पे है their food habits develop according to that. So it's because of that. But now can you eat the Gujarati dal or you still feel like ये क्या है?
nah, I'm very accustomed to it now. On this note, let me add something. ठीक है, ये एक बहुत ही stereotype है about Gujarati people and their dal having sugar in it. But मैं एक बात बताता हूँ आपको, ठीक है, which I've experienced. So since I've been living with Gujaratis now, there is this peculiarity about them कि they can eat far too spicy food. ठीक है. When we eat this dal thing, na, we can never have this sort of idea in our head that Gujaratis can also eat spicy food. And I've experienced this that Gujaratis eat very spicy food as well. And मैं जब खाता हूँ ना मेरे को 3 bottles चाहिए होते हैं पानी के after that same food. Even a simple thing such as Maggi के अंदर भी इतना
Yeah.
mirchi and spicy, it's unbearable sometimes. So it's very ironic that you can swing between two of these tastes.
It could be also subcultural, यार. मतलब मेरे घर पे they don't really क्या बिल्कुल तीखा नहीं बनता. My mom says our food is like hospital का खाना. And I agree because I'm like mummy मतलब थोड़ा you can feel excited about food chalega. But it's I think but yeah, even as a kid I used to go to my neighbor's house to कुछ खाने को क्या बनाया है करके. It always used to have more spices और बहुत ज्यादा hot रहता था कभी. I personally have like decent capacity to eat एकदम तीखा spicy food. Slowly though it's like decreasing, but I can still manage. But I think it's subcultural thing. Some communities and in some region they really eat like ekdam zyada mirchi and ekdam tikha, and some can't even tolerate even little bit of spice. So I don't know, but I know I've seen people eat sev sal in Vadodara, and it's oh my god, it's something else.
It's super spicy. Oh my god, I don't know how people eat it.
They give you something, yeah, right, and they give you something like side mein to add
Exactly,
to that.
exactly. I was like, no, you don't want it.
Yeah. I feel the same way about North Indian food, जिसमें I feel इतना तेल कैसे हो सकता है? मतलब why? What is this? I used to ask them about their oily food, the way you are asking me about like sugar and spice, etc. Interesting, all these food things and region and all.
Yes, and talking about this, tell me, Mansi, because you're a Gujarati, tell me what's so special and unique about Gujarati culture?
I'm sure there are things that go far back in time, but in my experience, I'll tell you, we are everywhere. Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
matter
this is
where you
true.
travel,
This is true.
you will find Gujaratis. And
You
it's
have a
just,
community.
oh my God. And sometimes you want like this foreign experience. So you go to
Yes,
these really strange places.
yes,
But
yes.
boy, you would find a Gujarati there. And it's really like, it's amazing to me. And then it's not like, I mean, we gel well with
Yeah.
when so we go like it's fine. We can survive anywhere and without really like hurting or disturbing their own ways.
Yes, yes.
But we still sort of maintain our very core cultural components, or maybe say food, or how we talk, or how we live, our daily lives, with a little bit of adjustments, of course. But it's so interesting, and I actually have very funny incident about this. If I can, tell you guys
Go
that.
on, go on.
It may not directly relate to this your question, but talking that we are everywhere, it just came up. I think I was in Brussels. ऐसे ही एक दिन के लिए my cousin and I went, and then we were just walking. Okay, and I was asking her in Gujarati कि यार वो पुतला है छोटा सा सब देखने जाते हैं मुझे वो कहाँ पे है like why aren't we finding it, where is it, you're saying idhar and then I was just so I was asking her in Gujarati, and like from across the road there is a sound that comes, and it's like Saurashtra ka Gujarati, so it has that accent. It's like वो आप आगे जाओगे ना तो ऐसे चौराहे पे है ऐसे करके, and then we both like turned and we were like what because there are this week either German, and of course there were so many visitors, पर इतना देसी गुजराती कौन बोला, and ऐसे सुन के कहीं दूर से किसी ने जवाब दिया, and then we said like कि वो आप वो ढूंढ रहे हो, it's like there ऐसे करके, then we like oh thank you, and then of course they came to us and like so where are you guys from and which village and which town in Gujarat, and then we exchanged the details and like thoda politeness idhar udhar, and they were like oh great, we are from this part of Saurashtra, etc, etc. Okay, and then we were walking and we were just telling like hey what just happened, it's so funny and interesting, and then some guy came running after us, and then he said so, and he asked me what age are you married, and I'm like wow what like no, so no, I'm not married, I'm just I'm studying idhar udhar ye wo karke, and then he said oh so my son has just graduated, and like are you serious, is it like in the middle of the road in some strange country we are walking are you asking me if I am interested in pursuing your son, or are you really doing matchmaking? So I knew that from the community he was, they marry off their sons like earlier age than at least what I was at that time. So I said, no, I'm sure I am older to your son. So he's like, no, aisa to nahi ho sakta. I'm like, yeah, what age he is? He's like, oh, he's 27. I'm like, yeah, see, I'm 29. So he's like, oh, and that was the problem to him, huh? Baki kuch problematic nahi tha ye pure matter mein. But for him, it was like, अरे आप 2 साल बड़े हो now, then it's okay, then जाओ जाके देख लो. And then my cousin is like, what? And then we laughed so much. That is like the best Brussels memory we have, which has nothing to do with the place, but still like it is because of that place. The whole thing is so much more funnier. Yeah. So we are everywhere pretty much.
Next thing that I'd like to add, okay, one thing that I've experienced about meeting Gujarati people, I find it, different or interesting. I don't know how this would sound to you, but I find Gujaratis to be more open-minded in the sense that my friends, most of my friends and their parents are, the relationship that they share is very different from the relationship that we share with my parents. In the sense, their parents are able to understand these youngsters, the new generation, the things that they are developing a liking towards, or let's say, in fact, most of my Gujarati friends are easily able to talk about the love relationships with their parents. And if we try to do that in our homes, take care. I don't know, like I won't be able to sit here speaking to you right now. That would be the state of things. So in that sense, I find that Gujaratis are more liberal, you can say, or more open-minded to things. I don't know how did this happen, but I think so. कि as
Could
compared to
be.
different communities.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I have had fair share of South Indian friends, and I understand when you say that, this whole difference is
We
sort
are
of
a bit
striking.
conservative, like on the end.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, I don't know where it comes from. Maybe we want to stick to our cultural roots like really badly, and we just do not want to, because when you are a bit more conservative, anything that's not exactly like that is rude and is insulting
Yeah,
suddenly.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's not just different, it's just rude. So we categorize it immediately like that, instead of trying to understand that maybe it's different, but it's also like the truth, and it's also something your kid wants to share with you. I don't think that Gujarati parents think that deeply, and that's why they are that open. But I think generally they are chill. And yeah, I am
This is
not
actually
claiming, no, I am not claiming profoundness on our part also. But I'm just saying, because I think most Gujarati community is also money minded, right? They are businessmen, and
huh.
so
Yeah,
their
yeah.
whole thing is around that. If you mess with their business, then you're dead. But otherwise, yeah, go, jilo apna zindagi type. But even we have conservative values in some ways.
Ah,
Not
yeah,
maybe, yeah,
I do
comparatively
understand.
less, but yeah, it's not as bad. It's not like we would really be super scared talking about certain aspects of our personal lives with our parents. I don't think anybody says everything as such, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad. Like, we won't fear that कुछ एकदम extreme explosive reaction आएगा, ऐसे भी नहीं होगा. At least they'll sit and talk.
Okay.
At my house it's really liberal and nice, and Kavit and I always take a little bit of credit for that, because we are like,
Yeah.
नहीं, हम एक point के बाद care ही नहीं करते what you think. So you're like, yeah, if you want to fight, we'll fight. If not, like, this is the truth. We are telling you, we are not asking you, that sort of a thing. But honestly, it has never come to that. My parents have been extremely supportive, and they would always encourage us to, do things and pursue what we think is right and what we are interested in and things like that. And yeah, and how Kavit jokes about it is like, that's why we will never be great, because we don't feel resistance. So we will never, do all those great things that great people do. So because our parents support us, we will never be great. That's his arguments. Like, ठीक है. But yeah, you may be right there a little bit.
Anyways,
Yeah.
moving on. So I think we've
Hmm.
talked enough about Gujarati culture. Let's move on from there
Hmm.
and come to the part where we explore your life of traveling.
Hmm.
And we understand that you've traveled a lot. When did you leave India for the first time? Like at what age
Um.
and
So
for what?
2011. So I must be 23, I guess, 23, 24.
23. Okay, that must be after
Huh.
your undergraduate
Bachelor's.
degree.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
what
had
did you do in
not gone
bachelor's?
anywhere. Huh?
What did you do in bachelor's?
I did environmental sciences from MS University. So I was in Baroda. No, I didn't even like
Hmm.
uh, go to any other city for my bachelor's. I was home all
Okay.
throughout. Yeah.
Uh,
So then I after that I pursued my master's and I went to the US. So that was
okay.
in 2011. Huh.
2011. And in US,
Hmm.
which state and which city?
Illinois. That was Midwest. So I went to Illinois. So it wasn't like the diverse and happening US we know from sitting here, like things that we know about US is it all happens across the like along the coastline. So California hai, New York hai, Seattle hai, all those things. But I was in the heart of it. So I was in Illinois. So it was nothing but Illinois, of course, has Chicago, which is again great. But I
Of
was in
course.
Springfield, which is a very small, it was the capital city of the state, but it was just the farmland. And kahin pe beach mein I had a campus. So after like itna population, itne crowd, itne usme se, when I was like first like feeling is, और वो भी मैं winter में गई थी, okay, January. So the temperature is -20 degrees Celsius. ऐसा कुछ भयंकर random. And then you go and you don't know how to perceive that temperature even. क्योंकि वो क्या है? ऐसे मतलब what are we feeling? It was
And
so
especially
strange.
we are from Gujarat.
Yeah, yeah, right. And then the dark, मतलब 4 बजे it's dark. So initially I was like, I was so, मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा था क्या करने का. ऐसे घर पे बैठो. I wasn't like complete. I wasn't feeling homesick necessarily, but मुझे ऐसा हुआ था कि ये क्या है, मतलब what to think of this. And that time the classes were yet to start, so it's not like I had things to read or do, but it was very interesting, the like sudden introduction to this entirely new thing where you don't really know the ways. And even for me, I didn't even know the language that well, because I never really had to speak in English. And forget about, मतलब American English तो पूरा अलग ही scene है. तो उधर इसकी वजह से it was new, it was nice, मतलब it was interesting.
Nice. And actually, everybody has this fascination for USA, right?
हाँ यार.
So tell me something, like tell me the best part of being in America for so long, I guess. I don't know कितने time तक थे आप वहाँ पे actually.
I was there 2011 से 15, फिर 15-16 I was in Mumbai, and then 16 से 18. So
Okay. Yeah.
But so US is huge, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
your
yeah.
experience will really
Very.
vary.
Yeah.
तुम कहाँ हो उस हिसाब से. But I think I don't know if it was the US or it was very reformative years. They were very reformative years because पहले मैं ऐसे घर पे हो, you were very safe and secure. Even though when I was here, I was never really always in the house. I was
Yeah.
always उधर गए, and it's so easy, roaming around अपने city में, etc. But then when I went there, first of all, the moment you are by yourself, you are responsible for, so, and you have to be, and you don't realize that, but you become that, because कोई है नहीं जिसको तुम blame करोगे, कोई है नहीं जिस पे तुम completely dependent हो physically when if anything happens or if you need anything. So moral support वगैरह सब ठीक है, but the very like real needs. Or good part about being in US is that for me it was just the exposure to something that I had not experienced here, and I'm very zen. Okay, मुझे ऐसा कुछ एकदम कुछ स्ट्राइक नहीं आता. ऐसा नहीं होता कि ओहो ये तुम कितने अलग हो, ऐसा इतना मुझे इतना ज्यादा ये नहीं होता. But then still it was so new, even to start like understanding what our professors are talking about. So one of my college friends also joined the same university, fortunately, so I wasn't like completely alone. He came after a few days. He reached there after a few days, and then we were attending some of the same classes. So that was, so first of all, the exposure. And then if you move to cities like New York or California, even the diversity is mind blowing, because people will be coming from all parts of the world. So that is something you will not get in any other place. So I actually experienced both the ends, क्योंकि Midwest is extremely American, white, conservative. They also haven't really gone out at all. So for them, we are also like some foreign object. So they also don't know कि इनका क्या करना है. And then when you go to like say New York, it's so diverse that you can find your own India. Then there is this Greek population, then there are Jews, and then there are this Latin American and Caribbean population. सबका अपना corner, and still they are all together. So it's like the world in itself. So that whole part is, and plus of course how people say life, liberty and pursuit of happiness karke, it's of course there is no social suppression of, at least relatively speaking, you are free. It's very new, it's very nice, and you are answerable to yourself only, which again makes you more responsible. But it's very interesting. I always tell people to put oneself where they have never been. You get to know yourself better, honestly, in the end.
So Another part which I wanted to ask you about is, are there huge cultural differences between India and other nations when you go out? And how big are those cultural differences according to you?
Some are big, yes. I think in India, because of so many reasons, because of extremely high population, and then here we are surviving. We want to survive. There, people want to live well, which are two different things. So we want to sort of cater to our very basic needs, say food and shelter, and decent other lifestyle factors, but nothing too exquisite or nothing too luxurious. They can afford to seek those things. So for besides that, मतलब वो भी ठीक है, उधर इतना इतना maddening consumerism का जो culture है, which is just the first time you'll go there, or at least when I went to Walmart उधर, मैं मतलब मेरा दिमाग ऐसे, I couldn't think clearly, because क्यों चाहिए मुझे इसमें 10 options. ये स्टेपलर्स, जब फर्स्ट टाइम आई सॉ दैट इलेक्ट्रिक स्टेपलर, आई थॉट तुम मतलब एक हाथ नहीं दबा सकते क्या, उसमें भी आपको क्यों चाहिए इतना इतना ज्यादा, आपको चीजें ऑटोमेटेड या सब आपको एक दूसरे से कुछ ना कुछ, मतलब some maddening number of options for things that you don't need, and they make you feel that you need them, and then you buy, and then you become addicted. And you know that George Bush actually said that if you want to help America, all you have to do is shop. So they just wanted to sort of capitalism को एकदम inject करके सबके veins में. Everyone has become this, ऐसे कुछ भी खरीदते ही रहते हैं. So उनके घर पे भी when they stock things, it's so much, everything is so much, the dustbins are huge. So इतना ऐसा, that was like, that's very stark, that difference in our culture and the way we here. तो हम अगर सब्जी धोते, वो पानी भी प्लांट में डालते, उसके चमड़ी से कुछ और बनता है, उसके फ्लैश से अलग सब्जी बनती है. We don't let anything go to waste if we can avoid it, right? And then they talk about all this recycling, right? It's very funny. So when the recycling thing happened, they felt कि अब हम guilt free चीजें खरीद सकते हैं. So not like reduce your waste. You're like, अब तो recycle कर रहे हैं ना, so it's fine. We can like buy things. उसमें क्या है? So that was like a huge difference. Like culturally, when we say and how we lead our lives, that's a very very distinct difference that I personally felt, and that really like struck out मेरे लिए. But Europe में it's when I mean I haven't lived for that long in Europe as I have lived in the US, but then it's a sort of fusion. Europeans are like, they in some ways they are like us, in some ways they have like this Western liberties, but I think this was one of the biggest difference that I found. And then of course there is social norms, वो तो पूरा अलग ही है, क्योंकि उनके घर में तो जैसे हम हमारे पेरेंट्स को, how we put them on pedestal, or how we, the dynamics that we share with them, the respect, or the how we even express our respect to them through our behavior, it's entirely different. They first of all don't really stay with their parents, it's not a thing. And and then it's very like, they're very independent sometimes too. For a foreign eye, it's very cold, and they are not necessarily like that. They're all fine, and even parents are like, ठीक ही है वो, they don't feel sad or anything. We don't have to feel sad for them कि अरे तुम्हारे बच्चे ऐसे कर रहे हैं. That's how they were also. So वो भी एक पूरा अलग सीन लगता है हमें कि wow, that's very interesting. इतना हमें तो पता है ना, अगर so I'll tell you, my classmate used to live 3 घर छोड़ के अपने पेरेंट्स से दूर, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स के घर पे नहीं रह सकते. अगर हम बोलेंगे हमारे पेरेंट्स को कि आई वांट टू रेंट अ प्लेस बाजू में, मैं तुम्हारे साथ नहीं रहूंगी, तो 2 थप्पड़ पड़ेंगे कि ये क्या है. ऐसा कौन, that sort of a thing. Still things are changing here, but you know we were all very surprised कि पर तू ऐसे क्यों करोगे, तुम ऐसे क्यों, तो कि नहीं it's my parents' house. ठीक है. But yeah, there are differences like that.
हाँ, so to add to your point, ठीक है, the way you mentioned कि बाहर यूएस में people are actually living their life, they're trying to live their life, and पता नहीं कहीं से तो ये मैंने phrase सुना था कि we are living the large life करके, like larger life. तो the only way that I've seen them, ठीक है, enjoying their larger life was on movies when उनका फ्रिज ओपन होता है, ठीक है, एंड दे ट्राई टू ईट आइसक्रीम, दे हैव टब्स ऑफ आइसक्रीम विद देम. हम यहाँ पे माँ बाप से लड़ झगड़ के 10 रुपए का वो वैनिला का कप खरीद के खाते हैं, ठीक है, एंड देयर आर पीपल, ठीक है, जो टब्स ऑफ आइसक्रीम एक एक रात में खा रहे हैं, दे हैविंग इट फॉर डिनर. आई एम लाइक क्यों?
नो, ये तो उनका बीमारी है. लार्जर लाइफ बोले या जो भी बोले, they have like and you know how we fight for, you said, for a cup of vanilla, and if we are getting that family pack, it has to be 1+1 free. Do you know? वो स्कीम में आएगा तब हम लेंगे, and then for 2 nights in a row. But yeah, no, they have tubs of ice creams. Even when you go out to shop and do your grocery shopping, that's what they buy. And they always have it in their fridge. You're right. They do eat, but you know, it all has consequences. Now, so many cities and people who live there, they are more aware, but so many are not. So the issue of obesity, for example, is extremely big there, and even politically, it has consequences. Like, you know, their rulers, like all these authorities, have to think about that. Their healthcare plan has to include those things. Their mortality rate is affected by that. So all of this, and it is strongly coupled with the consumerism culture that I told you about. Everything is in big portions. Everything. तो इतना नहीं खा सकते हो. Even if you order a burger, उसके साथ it's so huge, and with that also there is so much more. कि मतलब इतना, why are you making us eat that much? And even their you know, that Coca-Cola and all those glasses are gigantic. मतलब इतना बड़ा नहीं क्यों करना है? But that's very normal. So many people, I was so surprised to find this out. So many people don't drink water. They constantly just keep sipping on their Coke.
Exactly.
मतलब it is forbidden here. मेरे घर में तो पागल हो तो इतना ये सब नुकसान करेगा and क्या ही. But it's true. There are consequences. Their systems like do falter after a while कि खराब हो जाता है. तो अभी बहुत सारे लोग are aware, but फिर भी तुम वो कोर रूरल अपने वो जो अमेरिका है ना, white and conservative, they are still like that. So तो बहुत ही, so what you saw in movie for this point is actually true in reality also.
One of the most mandatory questions that I need to pose to you, suggested by Kavit, is this: how is the New York experience?
Exactly. Yes. This cannot end without talking about New York.
No, I am in love with New York, so all my answers will be biased, but still I think they're true. They're true. I think they're true objectively. But, no, it's just, I mean, what can I say? I think I can write I have, you know, I lived in Manhattan for 2 years, which is just, I still feel like it was a dream, because who gets to stay in Manhattan? Nobody does that. Of course, I shared a room, and of course, I wasn't like living all by myself, but that didn't matter. So New York is not where you go to live in a good place. New York experience is what makes New York New York. So I was studying, so my college was in Manhattan. So udhar we used to, like, we found a place closer to that. New York is extremely, it is what you want it to be. So if you want a quiet corner, you can get that. If you want to, like, you know, walk amongst like huge crowd, you will get that. If you are an art lover, oh my God, you can't run out of an option any given day. Weekday, weekend, doesn't matter. If you're like this business Wall Street kind of a person, again, there is this whole world for you. If you are into theaters, so there is this whole Broadway, right? There's this whole theater district for you. There are like this diamond merchants from Surat in fact, there in Bombay. And then there is this other boroughs where you go to, like, say, there's this place called Jackson Heights in Queens. They have huge Patel Brothers store. Okay, so every Indian goes there for their grocery shopping, and then they don't speak even in Hindi. It's all in Gujarati. So if you want to, like, feel कि तुम India में हो, you can easily do that. And if you want to go to for the meetups, you want to meet different people with similar interests, you want to sort of go for different sort of fitness classes, you want to learn dancing, you want to learn things you can't pronounce. क्या ही क्या होता था. So, and so many things I did. For me, the favorite part was walking. It is so walkable. Manhattan or New York or Brooklyn, anywhere actually, all 5 boroughs for that matter. It's so walkable and it's so nice that you don't realize कि तुम कितना चल चुके हो. So for me, like, walking is very rejuvenating in general also. So वो मेरा therapy रहता था. So I'll just walk and walk and walk, and I'm in my head. The good ideas also come while I'm walking. Like, I have conversation with myself. I'm listening to this amazing, like, songs or जो भी करना है. But walking is amazing. Then there's Central Park, of course. तुम cycle ले लो कहीं से भी, चलाओ, जो करना है करो. New York is also, if you are into like this museums, cultural exploration, you just, there's this whole museum mile जहाँ बस amazing museums ही है, जहाँ हमेशा बहुत ही interesting exhibits लगे रहते हैं. And I've read that somewhere that New York is probably the only city जो photograph में दिखती है उससे real में ज़्यादा अच्छी दिखती है. And which is so true, because the moment when I've taken so many pictures of New York कि कहीं पे भी जाते I'm like, wow, ये क्या मस्त. But then when I see a photo and like when I'm actually seeing it, it's so much prettier. जो बहुत सारे जगहों के लिए it's not true. Photos are always, a bit deceiving कि क्या, it looks so pretty, it looks so nice, but when you actually go there, like the whole picture is not really, it doesn't make you feel the same way a picture made you feel. But New York is not like I can't oversell it. So it's very nice, it's very interesting, the kind of people you just raste mein mil jaye. I was walking one day, I was looking like कोई shop के अंदर which said कि everything has to go because we are closing down the store, and I was just looking कि ये क्या bags दे रहे इतने सस्ते में ये सारे. And then some like lady said, oh please don't be fooled, ये लोग कब से ऐसे बोल रहे, but they're not going. And then we started walking together and she said, oh yeah, I am this executive producer in HBO ऊपर का office में ये मैं काम कर रही हूँ, अभी हम Westworld बना रहे, please don't ask me about Game of Thrones, I'm not allowed to say anything. And then we like started talking and she said, yeah it's ये तुम कहाँ से हो, क्या हो. And it's people are in general level headed, they are not like that's because New Yorkers are not really what we call people who are born in New York, because people just come from everywhere to New York, like how Mumbai is in India. It's like that. So it's so resilient, it's so tolerant, and it's so aware of other people's cultures and ways, and that it has embraced everything. So there is nothing like you won't feel. So I personally enjoy my solitude when there are so many people around me who really don't care or they don't know me. So I'm like, everyone is nice, they're doing their own thing. We are not alone strictly, but we are not really crowded, or we are not really, nobody is really talking about us, which is just so liberating in so many ways. You know how in India we feel that weird social pressure ki अरे अभी ऐसे करेंगे इनको क्या लगेगा. नो, ऐसा कुछ किसी को कुछ नहीं लगेगा उधर. So it's all cool. So it's very interesting. New York is it's sort of home. Like when I went there, I felt like, okay, this is where I belong. Very, very nice.
So coming back to India.
Yeah.
आप इंडिया वापस आए थे because of job work purposes?
2018, yes. I got a project here in Delhi.
Okay. So after that you started staying in Mumbai?
No, so I was in Delhi for say about 6 months or 5 months. And then I was posted to Trivandrum, Kerala. So I stayed there for a year. Yeah, I was there for a year. And then I moved to Mumbai. But so, and then Mumbai, I had lived in Mumbai in 2015 and 16 because I was working there. उस वक्त. So again, I love Mumbai. It's absolutely amazing. But then Mumbai mein ek do mahina rahi, and then this whole thing happened, so I couldn't really stay
Okay.
there this time. Yeah.
Okay. I have this question. Okay. Since both of you, both of us,
Hmm.
like you and me, we have born and brought up in Vadodara. Okay.
Hmm.
How different is life in Mumbai as compared to Vadodara? Because honestly speaking, I've only heard my friends been, gone to Mumbai, saying different things about Mumbai. And the thing is, ki I've never got this opportunity to go to Mumbai, and it's very sad.
No.
So,
क्या
I want
यार रिनोश.
I just gather stories from people. That's how I make my perceptions. So
अयो.
I want to know this from your end as well. Ki
हाँ.
how is Mumbai life different from the life that you've lived in Vadodara? Because
Hmm.
generally speaking, I believe ki Vadodara is still a very liberal place to live. It's a very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
place to live. So how much more different is Mumbai than Vadodara?
It's different in many ways. First of all, just the size of it. Imagine, and in fact, Baroda is also very diverse. So is Mumbai, of course, in a maybe greater scale. But I think Mumbai has more like stronger art component to it, and the audience for it also. It has a lot of rich history which has been preserved. You can still see um, history. I didn't know that about that a while back. And there are so many walking tours that you must do in Mumbai. But if you go to South Bombay, which is obviously everyone's favorite, you get to see some really amazing monuments. There are stories, there are different cultures still thriving in some of the corners of the city. And I think the most thing, like the one thing that you'll notice the most is it doesn't matter what sort of economic background a person has in Mumbai, the way they thrive and the way they make it their home is just unbelievable to see. Like there is nobody's complaining, everyone is busy, managing for their bread today. And it's no matter what happens, like छोटे छोटे issue होते हैं ना कि ये हो गया ये टूट गया is not even a thing there because they are fighting a bigger battle. Like तुम filthy rich लोगों से लेके एकदम डेसोलेट मतलब इतना खराब हालत के लोग तक वो जो रेंज है ना बॉम्बे में is just mind blowing. And probably that is why so many of these artists and filmmakers and cinematographers, writers, etc. are attracted to that city because ये जो range दिखता है ना life का, it's so inclusive and it's inspiring in a way. And I don't want to romanticize poverty as such, but it's something that you will see at every step. Like from my office to my ये मैं ट्रेन लोकल ट्रेन के तक का रास्ते में भी I see the whole range. And it is something that will make you think. It will make you think of your own life also. And it's something, if you are that kind of a person, that is, मैं बहुत देखती हूँ ज्यादा, जो है नहीं वो भी मैं खोद खोद के देखती हूँ चीजों में से. So मुझे I feel a lot about a lot of things. But so many people are just simply blind to them. Like they are blind to that because that's their daily life. It will gain them nothing to to look too deeply into the indifferences and inequality, or how somebody else gets to live in the same city and they can't get the same things. But Bombay, for me, like I particularly enjoy the theater scene there. I enjoy so many free movie screenings and so many great discussions. There are chote studios, they do all this अच्छे classic movies ka screening, then where you get to just go meet people, talk about your favorite movies, and then just इधर किधर chill करो. Again, like अगर मैं South Bombay में हूँ, I take like nice long walk Marine Drive पे, and people even there you see, which is just absolutely my favorite. People who are sharing, like some have, you can totally tell that they're stealing the moments from their hectic life. They've just come here to see their lovers or friends, and they're just making conversation. Somebody is probably just seeking refuge from their very chaotic life, and so just sitting silently. Some are singing, some are just they they are out for this picnic sort of a thing, and it's so diverse again. So
मेरे को दिल्ली में भी ऐसा ही लगता है कि it gives you एक बहुत अलग experience than living in Vadodara or living in any other city.
absolutely, Delhi is I think Delhi has a lot of, it's a political undertone. Even उनके plays, even उनके events होते हैं, जैसे अगर तुम इंडिया हैबिटेट सेंटर गए, उनका म्यूजिक सीन इज ग्रेट, हाँ, दिल्ली में. सो दे हैव दिस ग्रेट सिंगर्स एंड क्लासिकल इवेंट्स और ये सब होता है. एंड देन देयर आर लाइक ऑल दिस, ये कहते हैं ना लेगेसी. तो वो सारे कोई के बच्चे एंड ओनली दोस पीपल गेट टू एंटर दिस क्लब्स एंड जिम खाना गए हो, एंड देन इसका मेंबरशिप है, उसका नहीं है, एंड देन इवन प्लेज आर ऑल दिस क्रांतिकारी. इट हैज इट्स ओन टोन एंड इट्स सो अमेजिंग टू एक्सपीरियंस. वो तो तू जाएगा ना. इट्स if you go to like this some amazing जैसे खान मार्केट घूमोगे and people you'll see like जैसे कि वो हर हफ्ते I don't know लंदन जाते हैं and then they talk like it and it's just so much fun. Oh so Delhi and Mumbai like that is yeah in itself an experience.
So Didi, we were talking, you were talking about this arts and theater and Broadway and all this. So let's dive into these topics. I've known from Kavit that you got like your family is generally watches a lot of theater and drama. वो यहाँ पे हो, वडोदरा में हो, and I don't know if you've seen plays, dramas in New York and other places, in Mumbai as well. So tell me about this theater and drama as an art. Why is it still relevant, especially when we have such wide range of movies now? Like up television aa gaya, so we've moved on to movies and watching series. So does drama and theaters still hold that place of art or the place in art?
Absolutely, it's a very different form of art. It's not like ये कोई मूवीज का ऑल्टरनेटिव नहीं है. इट्स नॉट, इट्स लाइक सेइंग कि तुम स्कल्पचर तो आ गया है तो पेंटिंग क्यों बनाते हो, you know. It's not mutually exclusive like that. I grew up in this family because my father has done masters in performing arts and he's been into theater. So and my parents, they worked in all India radio, so वो थोड़ा वो पूरा आर्ट का सीन तो था ही. मतलब एटलीस्ट लिटरेचर और थोड़ा मूवीज अच्छे, थिएटर्स गुजराती जो भी हमने देखे रहेंगे. आई एम नॉट सेइंग बड़ौदा में कुछ बहुत माइंड ब्लोइंग थिएटर्स होते हैं, बट देयर आर सम अमेजिंग प्लेस दैट डू कम हियर एंड वी डू मेक अ पॉइंट दैट वी गेट टू सी. And in fact we see anything, क्योंकि we want to encourage that whole scene. So it's sort of our way of supporting them. But in New York, I personally could never afford watching a Broadway, at least not many times, but when my parents visited, we did watch. So I think I have seen like a couple of Broadway shows, which is a different than, watching just a simple stage play or some simple theater. Broadway is a huge art piece in itself. So it's a musical and the production is huge and etc. And then again in Mumbai, there is Prithvi Theatre, which is like smaller in size, but the production that it has and artists that who perform there, it's just outstanding. So in Mumbai, whenever I can, I definitely go and I definitely check out that scene. And I think even if you ask any artist who has done theatre and who has done movies as well, they will never really undermine the importance of theatre. And you can tell the actors apart. If they've done theatres, you can easily tell, because their command on dialogues, their command on their own expressions, like how to react. Because when you're performing live, you forget about chalo performance hai jo bhi, wo to jisko jaise lagega, but the satisfaction that you get from performing in front of the live audience is, I think, something very intoxicating. I would imagine, because I know my father would take anything if he gets to, exercise this whole thing, if he gets to be a part of a live performance. And it's if you are into it, you will really be, you will not, let that chance go. And I think I've heard that from some of the very, very famous and renowned Broadway artists who perform live in New York also, that see, it's not for money. There is not much money there, and then they do movies also. But some guy was saying that I'm practically paying so that they can, let me be in a stage play. So because they don't want to let that go. And I think even if you listen to the interviews of, say, Nasiruddin Shah or Paresh Rawal, they would always credit give credit to their theater background for whatever they could have they have done in their movie thing. But I think it's not irrelevant. वो तो तुम भूल ही जाओ, बिल्कुल irrelevant नहीं है. Even it's this whole, there is this whole genuine and sincere loyal इसका audience है theater का. And there are so many stories, and it is so strongly connected to the literature that अभी तो हम बहुत quick reads होते हैं, हमको इतना कुछ लंबा कोई पढ़ता है नहीं पढ़ता है, I'm not sure. जो भी contemporary जो भी है authors और novels वगैरह आते, but अगर वो लोग बहुत सारे पुराने classics में से भी they convert it into plays, and the way they present it, and there is this whole industry of creating sets कि कैसे तुमको stage पे वो पूरा चीज live करना है, that you are in that time, you are in that era, or you're in that place. That whole thing is, it's very amazing. I mean, I'm not saying it's lucrative from the business point of view, but as an appreciator of art or theater, it's something that I would never want to miss, or I would never want my brother or my family people to like miss out on. So that's something is extremely precious and something that we should actually consciously preserve.
So I came to know like prior to this recording we had a conversation and you said you like to listen to podcasts. So do you think podcast आज के ज़माने में is a better way and a very new way to communicate important information to masses?
Okay, there are two components to your question. First, the way, how is it as a way to communicate, and two, what's the audience? If you're saying masses, we are still to reach there. I mean, we are there, but we are still like, we can, the whole podcast scene can grow a lot more.
Exactly. I like this podcast thing is, मैंने पहले रेडियो चलता था अपने पे, तो रेडियो के बाद केम टेलीविजन, एंड टेलीविजन ने मार्केट जो ले लिया, ठीक है, उसके बाद केम द इंटरनेट एरा, एंड फिर लाइक वीडियो कंटेंट लेवल पे लोग कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, एंड फिर स्लोली आई थिंक इट वाज आफ्टर अराउंड 2016 के बाद से आई एम लिसनिंग टू पॉडकास्ट एंड आई एम सीइंग पीपल हु लिसन टू पॉडकास्ट, एंड लोग स्टिल क्रिटिसाइज पॉडकास्ट कि यार रेडियो का कोई नया वर्जन है करके, जैसे पहले लोग रेडियो.
So what's wrong in that also?
There's nothing wrong into it. It's like people would prefer video content over listening to something. But still, I believe on a personal note, I like listening to podcasts, and I believe the podcast can do some good in this.
And I think even video content में ये चीज है ही नहीं. It's not like the same content exists in video format. Personally, that's what I feel. I mean, podcast is so targeted. Even if we are they have like amazing topics covered, starting from silly comedy to some very serious research questions or some global issues. तुम पूरा range पकड़ो, and उसमें like they've been inviting experts. There are even like presidents who are part of the podcast. ऐसा नहीं है. And what happens? The good thing, I think, according to me, is it's not like itna commercialized where they are slaves of the sponsors. कि अगर ये कंपनी ने हमें खरीदा है तो we have to sort of align our views to their political ideologies or social ideologies or their whatever inclinations. टीवी में क्या है कि एक तो 24 घंटा चलना है, so you will इतना कहाँ से लाओगे content? So you sort of exaggerate, तुम इतना ज्यादा कुछ भी चीज का न्यूज बना दोगे, एवरीथिंग इज ब्रेकिंग न्यूज, या फॉरगेट अबाउट, चलो न्यूज भी छोड़ दो, इंटरेस्टिंग चीजों पे कितना वीडियो कंटेंट बनता है जो टीवी पे इतना रेगुलरली एक्सेसिबल है. आई डोंट थिंक सो. आई डोंट थिंक यू गेट टू हियर अबाउट से कुछ आई डोंट नो से अपना इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, उस पे अगर मुझे कुछ जनरल, आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी लाइक प्रॉपर नाइस वीडियो फॉर्मेट का कुछ भी आउट देयर. The podcast is there and you get like so much more, you get to hear stories. So it's a great new way, new in a sense, it's slightly upgraded version of say radio, if some people are really linking it like that, but it has so much freedom क्योंकि वो तुम्हारा पे तुम पे है. You want to say release it every 2 weeks, great, every other week, yes, जैसे भी करना है, every month. So according to that you can do your research, gather speakers, talk to them. Format भी तुम कुछ भी कर सकते हो, Q&A कर सकते हो, और somebody is just telling a story. And वो सब भी छोड़ो, अभी अगर we are traveling, ये वो, this is such a convenient way to listen to the things, ऐसे बस चल रहा है, तुम गाड़ी में लगा सकते हो, तुम कान में लगा के कर सकते हो. It's so much like less consuming in that way also. तो मुझे तो पॉडकास्ट बहुत ज्यादा पसंद है. आई थिंक देयर इज अ ग्रेट पोटेंशियल. ऑडियंस शुड लाइक soon realize that, because टीवी पे, and समझ लो another thing, like टीवी पे तो ये है भी, तो भी it's so like it's a tendency that we pick something really trashy over these things, क्योंकि हमें वैसे सस्ता सब ज्यादा ये हो जाता है. we are like लोअर हो जाते हैं हम लोग उस चीजों से, क्योंकि इट्स जस्ट से गिल्टी प्लेजर है, या कुछ भी दिमाग नहीं चलाना पड़ता, या हम कुछ रैंडम ही कोई चिल्ला रहा है टीवी पे, लाइक इट्स फन, ऐसे. I don't know, but I think podcast is amazing and it has huge potential still that it can explore.
Didi, thanks a lot for doing
thank
this with
you.
us.
Exactly.
It's beautiful the way you look at life, ठीक है, and we've noted down a lot of points, ठीक है, which we can implement, and it's, if possible, we'd like to come again on the show sometime whenever you have a lot of leisure time at your hand.
Yes.
This was such a fun conversation to have, whether it's a podcast or not. It was like really fun. And we should do that again definitely sometimes.
Okay, Didi.
Sometime. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you for being with us for this episode of Quacks and Quirks. If you liked this episode, do share it with your friends and family. If you want to help us continue producing such content, support us by logging onto our website qnqpodcast.in. Be sure to join us next time as we indulge in yet another interesting conversation.